Welcome to the Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks podcast. We cover all things natural, cultural, and historical in the world around us. Sit back and enjoy our sometimes snarky, often funny, and never dull podcast.
You do it so well.
Fine. Hello, everybody. It's Susan with Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks.
Monica.
And we're bringing you the natural, cultural, and historical things in the world that are around us as we inform and entertain you.
See how well you do that? That's why you should always do the intro.
Because I get so excited.
And plus, I don't remember all that shit. Sorry.
All right. Well, Monica, you're leading our conversation today.
It's kind of amazing, isn't it?
It warms my heart.
Well, okay. So I'm going to do this because I think it's going to bring me a great deal of joy. Have you ever been to Caddo Lake?
I have not been to Caddo Lake. A
I
place
can't
you have
even
not
ask
been.
you about some place that you've never been, as you ask me every episode to every park I've never been to. So obviously we're going to be talking about Caddo Lake. And here's the thing about Caddo Lake. First of all, I think that when people think of Texas, I have all my overseas friends, even friends that live like just in Canada, or Mexico, that have never been here. Mexico, maybe not so much, but my friends in Canada and Europe, if you ask them what they think Texas looks like, you get the same response, almost unilaterally. It's either going to be oil fields and, big, giant, dusty plains, maybe some hills. And that's pretty much what they think Texas is. They know on the peripheral there are large cities here. Everybody knows that Dallas and Houston, Austin, but they can't really picture it because of what I think, TV shows in essence have kind of led people to believe is that we're, rich in oil and it's just like Dallas everywhere. The TV show Dallas, it's like all these big giant farms and ranches. Recently I spoke to someone who didn't even really realize that we actually have a coastal line, that there is a third coast. So when you think of Texas, you don't think of swamps and lakes.
Yeah,
and
you don't think of water necessarily.
Right. Not at all. Not forests, not swamps, not lakes, not big cypress trees. And the first time that I saw a picture of Caddo Lake, I thought to myself, this is some place that I've got to go to one day because it is just the weirdest looking Jurassic Park looking place I had ever seen just from the pictures. And then once I got there, I was like, this is the most Jurassic Park looking place. It looks downright prehistoric.
Well, when I saw where it was located, which is really on the border of Louisiana,
Yes.
It made sense to me because if you've been to Louisiana and been like in New Orleans or out in that area, it really feels the same way. To me, it did.
It does have a lot of the same characteristics because it is very swampy with the wetlands and the bayous. I think it's the cypress trees that kind of separate it a little bit from what we're used to seeing, or at least what I've seen in Louisiana when I've seen the swamps, because these cypress trees are huge.
What are the tree stubs that, like when you drive 10 across Louisiana, you're going across the bridges and you see the tree broke stump things in the water? What kind of trees are those? Do you know? Are those cypress?
I don't know. I'm assuming they're cypress.
Huh.
Yeah, because I'm assuming that would be
real full trees because they're all stumps. That's why they say don't ever jump into the water in Louisiana.
Yes. Well, besides the alligators.
Yeah.
Right. Or is it alligators or crocodiles?
Alligators.
Crocodiles are in Florida. Right? Alligators, right?
Well, crocodiles are fewer in the world, so I would want to say it's alligators.
Alligators, okay. I don't know. I just know their mouths are different. That's all I know. So when I was in Caddo, apparently there was, what the supposition is that the way it's one of the, I think it's the only natural lake or one of the few natural lakes in Texas. And there's also a river right there. So yeah, you've got the mix. And
But you know why it's a natural lake?
my understanding is that there was like some kind of giant log jam at one time somewhere on the river. I think this is like a prehistoric log jam is what it
Yeah, it was a long
was.
time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what created the lake. If I remember, there's a little info thingy there, and they talk about it.
Yeah, 1811, I think, is when it happened. It triggered the log jam. That's what they think in 1811. It triggered this log jam that stacked up all these logs that then created this lake. I mean, it's since been modernized, right? But back in the day when it was originally created, it was all natural.
Yeah, and we've talked about the Caddo people. I
Mhm.
think when we talked about maybe the National Seashore and Big Thicket,
Yep.
because now I don't know. At that time, I didn't know any of this. I have learned a lot from our podcast. I just want to say. Um, so I know that there are Caddo mounds
Yes.
throughout that area of Texas. I just don't know if there are any in the Caddo Lake area.
Ooh,
Now that I know, I would love to go back and look, but I
I
don't
think
know.
so. I think there are because so there's Caddo Lake, right? And there's Caddo Lake State Park, which is north of the Sabine National Forest. But
Yes.
there's also, as I understand it, a wildlife refuge that's there as well. So this area is kind of well protected in a way.
Yeah.
But I think that I think that there are mounds in the state park.
I was in the state park and I don't remember reading about them, but again, I was oblivious to all of that. I was there to hike and camp and
Not anymore. Not
yeah,
oblivious anymore.
yeah. But you know, it's a gorgeous park. And um, also, we talked about in previous podcast or soon to be podcast, I don't remember how it's working, the CCC,
Yes.
which this was one of the parks that they had worked on. They made, I think there's a couple of shelters and the actual
Mhm.
hiking trails, which
Yeah.
are really interesting because they're kind of like in log steps sort of built into the hills. So when you're hiking, you're not schlepping up a hill with no traction and or or a
Yeah.
gravelly trail. There's nice steps built in, and they're it doesn't look like stairs. It's really well done, and they have held up all this time. So if you're interested in knowing more about the CCC, find our
We
find our
will we will post something about that.
yeah, we will. Um, so let me see, what else was I going to mention? Oh, I didn't know that at one time that river was used for steamboats.
What river?
The Caddo or whatever river it is that's right there. I'm assuming it's,
Does it go across the Sabine River?
is it the Sabine then? I don't
The
know. I have
Sabine
pictures of
is
it.
the one that's on the right side of Texas when you're looking at Texas. The Sabine separates Texas from Louisiana. The Red River separates us from Oklahoma, Rio
Right.
Grande from
I'm not sure which one it is, but there are some really pretty pictures of it that I took. But I found out that there were steamboats that used to go up and down that river. And supposedly, there are some haunted stories or stories about steamboats that sank and are supposed to be still down there. I don't know.
really. I
Yeah.
wonder how deep it is. I don't know how deep that water is. I mean, not just in the lake, but like on the river. Like, how deep is that water? I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, because you see pictures and stuff of people canoeing. Like it's a
Yes.
it's really a camping park, I guess,
Yeah.
and one where you do a lot of recreational activities like canoeing, I guess.
Yes. And a lot of hiking, some really nice trails. Um, it's a good birder park because it's on the migration um, what do we call it? The migratory birds run through there. We talked about the alligators. I think there are herons. Um, egrets. I know because I have friends that are birders. I think they've even noted river otters in that
Wow.
river. Yeah, which I did not see any, but
I didn't know we had otters over here.
yeah, I did not either.
And what's the difference between a river otter and an ocean otter?
One lives in fresh water and one lives in salt water. I don't
Is
know.
there such a thing as an ocean otter? I don't know. I
Isn't
should
there
have
an
worn my
otter?
otter shirt.
Aren't there otters in Animal Crossing? I don't know. Anyway, aren't all those are those the ones that are like on their backs with like the little and they're like with a
Yes,
rock
that's
right?
yes, yes.
They're so cute, aren't they? Okay. I don't
They
know. I
are
don't know what
cute.
the difference is. But I will say that Caddo is an internationally recognized habitat for wetlands, for the wetlands.
Really?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
that doesn't surprise me because of how unique it looks. Again, just looking at the pictures because I've never been there, but I mean I've been in East Texas, a few times, but um like you said, looking kind of otherworldly in a way,
It's
it is a
crazy.
site that doesn't look like what people would think of in Texas. And I just remember when I was working and I would go to one of our offices up in Michigan. And of course, they always made fun of me because I said y'all a lot. And I guess they don't. They really believe that where I lived was like around a bunch of people that have horses and, that we were in some dry land. Now, granted,
Yep.
we've been in a drought, but I ain't got
Yep.
well, there may be horses somewhere nearby my neighborhood, but we don't ride our horses everywhere. So there's that.
We do not.
No,
But
but I'm
yeah,
amazed at how many people stereotype it that way. But if you look at the state of Texas, you almost have to go East Texas is very different from West Texas,
for
which is
sure.
which is different from the Gulf Coast, really.
Well, and that's, I was explaining this to actually my realtor in Italy. I was trying to explain it to her with my stunted Italian that Texas is basically a microcosm of everything. You've got the plains, you've got some mountains, you've got some desert, you've got some coastline, and then you've got the wetlands. And then in the middle, or kind of in the middle to the right of that, is the piney woods,
Yeah, yeah,
and the hill country.
yeah.
It's like everything crammed into one area, which is what I think makes our state parks so wonderful. Because there's a state park in every kind of climate, every ecosystem that you want. There's a state park there for you to visit.
Well, it's either a state park, you've got national forests that we have several national forests, particularly all in East
Yes,
Texas, right?
yes.
So yeah, people don't think of that when they think of Texas, but there's so much to take advantage of. And in fact, I mean, it just hit the news and they hit the news yesterday about Texas has acquired new land for a state park. That's like maybe a 2-hour drive west of San
Mhm.
Antonio. 55,000 acres. It was a ranch. And that's how we get a lot of our state parks is that it's ranchers that now sell their ranches to the state and it becomes a state park, which is great and wonderful because there's a lot of wonderful, beautiful places here in Texas that now are going to become more accessible to people.
Didn't we just get a new state park this year too?
Palo Pinto, I think, or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, Palo
And
Pinto.
that's
That's
up
right.
north of
Yeah,
San Antonio. Yeah.
yeah. So we have, I don't know how many, over 100, right? Or about 100, maybe. Uh,
We have one of the lowest per capita state parks.
really?
Yeah, Texas does. Yeah. For as many people that live in Texas, our ratio or our per capita for state parks is one of the lowest in
Oh,
the
okay. Per
nation.
capita. We've
Yeah.
got 89.
Yeah. So you figure
89
we have
state
a
parks.
gazillion people that live in Texas.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. I never thought about it per capita. I always just thought like we've got a lot of state parks. Um, but and just because I have to, and I think I have to.
Oh
Okay,
boy.
I have to. We talked a little bit about the ghost stories. The steamboats maybe stuck in the water, phantom lights. There have been phantom lights seen over the river. There's some kind of legend about something called a goat man. I have never heard that one, and
I've
I'm going
never
to
heard of
do
the
more
goat man.
research. I've never heard it. I'm going to look it up. I've never heard of goat man. Apparently, too, that there's like maybe some settlements or lost towns that are somewhere beneath the lake waters. Again, I don't think I've read anything about that. I suppose it's possible. Because you said, when did it happen? When did the
It was
log jam?
1811 is when that earthquake happened.
Okay.
And that's how the lake was formed. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, there
400
could
year
be,
old trees. 400-year-old trees that are draped in Spanish moss. Spanish moss is the key here because we haven't mentioned
yes,
that. But that's
yes,
really what gives it that kind of feel. And that's where I trace it back to Louisiana because
yes.
you see a lot more of that, like saying down in New Orleans and all.
That is very valid because
Hmm.
the hanging moss is, it just adds. And here's the thing is like, I don't know how it is. When I was there, it had been raining.
Hmm.
Um, so in the morning, if you'd hike down to where the lake area was, there was like a fog that was just kind of sitting over the water. It was just the eeriest, most beautiful, jaw-dropping thing that I think it's just an amazing place to go visit.
Well,
And
and knowing what's all around it too. I mean, because you can go to the state park, you can go to the wildlife refuge that's over there. Um, and then explore because there are caddo 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 like
Caddo,
shadows.
as in a caddo like shadow. That's what
It's
that's
the caddo mounds because and we haven't covered it, but there's a couple of places that I've been to where these mounds are that you can actually go into them.
oh,
Eh,
nice.
oh, uh-huh. I mean, small because I'm not small. But it's fascinating to understand how these people lived. I mean, and did their own kind of worships, and it just is pretty cool. And so this area, knowing that we have that here in Texas, is just so worth going to go see.
We need to do an East Texas trip, you and I. We need to go. I want to go see Big Thicket. I'd like to look for some caddo mounds. I'd love for you to see, Caddo Lake State Park.
Hmm.
I think I think it'd be a fun trip. We should do that
Yeah, I'm down for it.
because I would like to stay up and look for Bigfoot because there have been Bigfoot sightings. This is the place. If there's going to be Bigfoot sightings, it's going to be near Caddo or near the Big Thicket. That's where they usually are. We need to go look for Bigfoot.
Okay, I'm going to do a little aside here. So there's a gal that I follow on YouTube. She's been hiking the Appalachian Trail. And so she posts every couple of days and stuff. And so they did I guess there were like trail days in Damascus that she got off trail to go do this thing. And it's for several days. And lots of people, pitch their tents and stuff, whatever. Anyhow, so she was walking down the street. She was filming. And in front of her was a walking Sasquatch. I almost sent it to you because it made me laugh that she's actually following behind Sasquatch that's just walking down the street. I'm like, this is where people think that they've seen Sasquatch.
Oh, that's hilarious. I
It
would
was
love to see
hilarious.
that.
Yeah. But
Oh,
I can, it's easy to believe because when we covered Big Thicket before, we talked about some of those, mysterious things that happen, right? The lights and all that stuff. And it's like, it's just that kind of an atmosphere that you can just
yes.
imagine that stuff.
Yeah. It is. It really is. Feels it feels otherworldly. There's just no other way to describe it. That's the perfect word. It's otherworldly. It's I've never been when it's been busy. I think I was there in maybe March or April. I don't know what it's like in the summer. I don't know if it's real busy. I don't know if but when you're there and there's nobody else there, you really do feel like you're in a whole other world. It's
It looks like a nice place to go camp.
it's a great camping place. You mentioned kayaking. I know there's canoeing, obviously, fishing, definitely
Hmm.
fishing,
Yeah.
bird watching. And I do have friends that kayak. And one of my friends said it's one of her favorite places because when you're down on the water level and going through the areas there on the lake, it's just super quiet, super peaceful, and then just that scenery around you. You know, I don't know. I really, really liked it, and I really want to go back.
Well, I guess it means we got to go to East Texas.
We do. There are a few issues that are going on there. I think the trees are, let me look here. Salvinia,
Well, isn't that that
Salvinia.
vine kind of thing that strangles trees?
Yeah, that's the one. It's very invasive.
Hmm.
They're trying to get rid of that. Um, of course, we're talking about the loss of habitat and water level changes. Obviously, would impact that hugely. Um, uh, so because it's just one of these places that you're not going to find anywhere else. You'll never see anything else like it, and which makes it, I think, uh, a very fragile place.
Yeah.
You know, uh,
Ecologically speaking.
exactly, ecologically speaking, yes. So it's something that we should really think about again with all our state parks. But you're not going to. I guarantee you're not going to find another place like that. Not in Texas.
Well, and I was just reading some of the things that they did to modernize and everything, but I thought this was interesting. In 1914, Caddo Lake becomes the site of the first overwater oil well in the world.
Really?
Well, because Spindletop, right, in Galveston, right, where oil was discovered. I mean, so we have oil definitely. Well, we have definitely oil in West Texas, but we
Yes.
have a lot of oil that's in East Texas too. But it was the first overwater oil well in the world.
I had no clue.
Well, because and you think about it ecologically, right? It's like, hold it, we're drilling for oil in a place that has what, over 200 bird species and these lovely bald cypress trees that are
Right,
huge and
right.
old, and then we have oil wells. But in Texas there are oil wells everywhere.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
well, I mean, other than what I've already said, I really can't think of anything else. Like I said, the hiking is wonderful, and if you're there at a time where it's not busy, um, just be prepared for lots of mosquitoes. There are lots of mosquitoes and ticks. Something that me hiking here in South Central Texas really had never run into before.
Yes.
If you're not used to it, be prepared for it. I didn't have any issues. I was wearing long pants and a long sleeve shirt. But when I got Cornelius, my dog, back into the RV, I kept seeing him like check his ear, and I found a tick in his ear. So, yeah, be aware of that. And mosquitoes, my poor boy, every time he'd lift his leg to pee, they would like attack his belly. I went there, and I went to Martin Dees State Park also, which was a very nice park, but mm, nothing compared to Caddo. Just but you want to be prepared for all that, and I think they have hikes of varying levels, some with a little bit of altitude, but nothing major. If I can do them, you can do them.
And I would just think that, it's kind of like when I went to Big Thicket at the end of July of whatever year that was, 21. Um, I It was on my way to other places. Otherwise, I never would have gone in July, because
True.
East Texas in July is hot
Humid.
and humid.
Yeah, the
So the best
humidity.
time to really do, I bet that place, is early spring or late fall.
Yeah, I would think so too. Yeah. I don't remember the weather being horrible. I do remember, like I said, the mosquitoes being bad. But it also rained, which,
Yeah.
but other than that, really, it was a great place to camp. Um, I just had the best time just exploring that park.
Well, and it says that there's a visitor center, I guess, at the state park, a visitor center and a museum with interpretive displays. They have Native American artifacts from, of course, the Caddo.
I didn't go look
Uh,
at that.
Yeah, and then other historical markers and stuff, and then the Civilian Conservation Corps pavilion that's there.
Yeah,
Evidently,
yeah, I saw that.
they have nine historic concert CCC Civilian Conservation Corps cabins. Nine historic. Again, we talk about, go see our episode on the Civilian Conservation Corps, because the stuff that they built was built to last. And
Yes,
these
yes.
things are still there. So
Yeah, see, and this is what's great about this podcast, I think, is that I was there, I was camping, I was enjoying the scenery. I would not have stopped at the visitor center. I would not have stopped, and I didn't stop at the museum unless I wanted, while I'm checking in, I'm at the visitor center, I'm checking in, I get out, unless I want to buy a t-shirt or something. But now, knowing what I know, I would go back and I'd be like, oh my God, there's a CCC, because now I know a little more. So I hope that as people are watching this, they're learning a little bit more along with me. Because
Well, yes, it's like we learn along our little steps of the way, and that visitor centers are so important to go to actually see what they have that is representative of the things that you will find in that space, whether it's a state park, national park, monument, whatever. They're such an educational experience.
yeah, they
So,
really are. They
yeah.
really are.
So I would agree. We need to do an East Texas trip. Now, it's a 4-hour drive from San Antonio to go east, but San Antonio is like in the perfect place because it's right in the middle of Texas. So it's either 4 hours one way or 4 hours the other way to kind of get to either side of Texas.
Yep. Yep. Well, we've been to West Texas, so I think we should do East Texas.
I'm with you. So
Maybe when you get back from Alaska.
all right, maybe when you're back from Italy,
One of these days.
we'll get to it.
Speaking of Italy, we'll see what's going to happen. You might be seeing some content.
Oh, yes, you might see the two chicks with hiking sticks branching out a little bit and
You
really
might.
focusing on how we inform and entertain you.
That's right. That's right.
So, yeah, we've got new things to share, and hopefully those will be coming up in the next few months or so.
Lots of Alaska stuff too, I venture.
I love Alaska. I love driving to Alaska. I can't wait to do it again.
This should be a few interesting next few months.
Yes,
Should be good.
I agree.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else unless you do.
I don't have anything, Monica.
Well, then you got to remember to like us.
Hike your own hike.
Well, what about subscribing and all that stuff? You jumped way ahead already.
Okay, don't forget to subscribe.
This is what happens when you don't host.
Yeah, we get all out of order. So be sure you subscribe and get notifications and follow us here on YouTube. But you can also, and share. But you can also just download our podcast anywhere you get your podcast, which is even more wonderful because you can just listen to us talk. And then, we have merch. We're going to be coming out maybe with some new merch soon. And yeah, I think that's it.
Buy us a coffee. You can buy us a coffee. All right.
Now we say,
hike your own hike.
And I guess we'll see y'all later.
See you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for listening, and remember to follow our podcast wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks on YouTube, where you also get to see our lovely faces, pictures, and videos of our journey.